Hello viewers, welcome in another episode, and today I plan to finish a presentation of that huge random act of kindness parcel from Stania Mustanga with cars from Poland when Poland was still in Eastern Bloc or shortly afterwards. We will start with something which because of nostalgic reason, it's very important for me, because my first car when I got driving license was Fiat 126, not like this one, because this is 126p and it's more modern than mine. Mine was 1978 made Italian 126 with 600cc air-cooled engine. The Polish ones usually were 650 ccm, but maybe those were a little bit more powerful, not necessarily better than the Italian one because of quality issues and the deeper crisis in Polish People Republic was the worst quality of those cars were. The more modern car, Fiat Bambino, had big rubber bumpers. The old one had just metal narrow one. Then it could be metal one covered with some plastic or rubberized on the top, and such were retrofitted into mine. It was very strange car because for a long time to start it, you have small lever between seats. There were two levers. One when you were starting, it was just to get extra fuel, you raise that lever. The other one, you pulled it to start it, and it was connected via a metal cable to arm beside starter. It pulled that arm. But remember, Poland is a country where winters can be harsh, cold, with plenty of snow, ice, etc. So sometimes that cable could be frozen and you won't be able to pull it. So we were having some kind of stick. Here is a luggage compartment. That's overstatement. There was not much room inside. There was spare wheel, which usually after it gathers some dirt was collecting rainwater and condensation water as well. So we have stick there. You could open a trunk to get access to the engine. You just push that arm with stick and job done. Terrible car, really terrible car, very slow, always plenty of technical issues, always something breaking in. Okay, it was rather easy to fix, but fixing your car all the time is not the best thing to do. Here we have yellow one. Apart from yellow color, there is no much difference. Even those seats, very, very uncomfortable. The support just ended halfway through your back, which is not as it should be. Okay, if you were driving just short distances in a city, that was okay, but if you drove longer distances, not only this car was very, very slow, your back was aching. It was terrible. But many Polish families went abroad in those like complete families, parents with kids, not bigger than 2 kids and 2 parents, because it was only 4-seater, and that was stretch as well. This was huge progress. Fiat Cinquecento, then Fiat Seicento. Those were huge improvement. Poland wasn't in Eastern Bloc anymore when those cars were being sold. Much more modern engine, much more powerful engine. It wasn't air cooled, it was just liquid cooled, more room, safer. It wasn't very safe anyway, but it was huge improvement. I can't stretch how much better those little Fiats were over Fiat 126. We have many more cars to show. Something we've seen as a militia or ambulance, Nyssa 522. This is civilian, but most of cars you would see then on Polish roads when we were still in Eastern Bloc. Even those are looking like civilian cars, those would be belonging to government-owned companies, because most of businesses in Poland then were belonging to government. And this car was very popular as a, van or people carrier or whatever. Very often it was driven just with one driver and maybe some paperwork, so you can imagine how profitable it was for companies, but there was not much choice, and then it was better than using buses or just walking. Another car we already seen, but in a slightly different livery, was Warszawa 224. We've seen blue one as Milicja, which was then police force in socialistic or communistic, whatever it was called, but it wasn't really, because exactly as Orwell wrote, some pigs are better. I remember those. I remember being passenger in those. It was one of my favorite playgrounds when I was kid, because my father's friend had one, and instead of scraping it, he just left it outside our house, and we as kids could play in it. Can you imagine having such fantastic one-to-one scale toy? Eventually, after a few years, it was scraped, but then we had another one-to-one scale toy outside, Syrena, which I will present you now. I need just to find it in a box. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna take other Syrenas as well, because we have different version. This is Syrena 105, a car which I remember No, that's one of most important cars of my childhood, because we had one. It started as Sirena 103, which was it evolved. There was 102, 103, 104, 105. I remember our 103, which had suicide door, not like in this one. A few improvements, because in 105 gearbox lever was in the floor. In 103 it was beside steering wheel. It was powered, and I'm not joking, by modification of engine from a fire brigade motor pump, 2-stroke engine, which you had to listen to it when it was working. It was music for our ears, because when it was working, it was like dum 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 dum. That 2-stroke engine, I think it was 3-cylinder, if I remember correctly, was just very, very unusual. Front wheel drive, so if you loved fishing, that was one of your car of choice, because rear wheel drive wouldn't go as far as those front wheel drive, which sometimes lead to some issues, because in Poland we joke, the further you go, the further you must walk to closest farmer to ask him for a tractor to pull you. And it was true. But it was a car. It was better than walking. It wasn't powerful, it wasn't fast, but it wasn't that slow either. It wasn't sluggish. 2-stroke engines, you know, they had rather large torque for its power and large power output for then cars. Very simple car, but it was better than nothing. Now we have two different versions of Sirena R20, pickup version of Sirena. Those cars weren't seen on the roads too often. There were some, but you didn't see those too often. Those were owned by some farmers or people growing tomatoes or flowers as delivery cars, working horses, in some companies as well. There was different version, Sirena Bosto, with it was a van pickup as well, but not really a pickup, because the whole rear was covered by the body, and it wasn't just separate body like now canopies, etc. No, instead of rear passenger, it was something like a state combi, just without seats, with cargo load in the back. And my father, just when we left Eastern Bloc and Eastern Bloc collapsed, did swap. Friend of his had a Sirena Bosto, the one with rear covered by body, and the engine and transmission and some other stuff were replaced by engine and transmission from Volkswagen Golf VR6. So you can imagine, you know, what monster it was. It was mostly made to terrorize people on traffic lights. It was more powerful and much faster than most of what was then driven in Poland. And to surprise of some people who were thinking that their car with 1.6 engine or just regular 2-liter engine, some of those were in old Western made cars were quick. No, just from 0 to whatever 60-70 kilometers per hour. That Sirena was accelerating quicker. It wasn't nice to drive because chassis wasn't designed for such powerful engine and not designed for big maximum speed, but just for acceleration it was enough. This one is in yellow, and time to see more. Maybe I will remove all those cars now from the box because we have 6 left to save time. We will start with what you can already see, Fiat 125p in estate and saloon version. We will start with most popular. This is more modern one, probably 1.5 petrol engine. The older one, which were sometimes powered by 1.3 liter engine, had narrow lamps with 2 like vertical lenses, not those long ones. I remember Fiat 125p well because we had one. It evolved into Polones, which we will see soon too. As for Poland, then it was a well-liked car. Again, there was some issues with it, but largely because of engine design. The number of main bearings and how those supports were placed played significant role in longevity and some issues we had with those engines, but it was simple to fix compared to more modern cars. And for family of 4 or even family of 5, because it was 5-seater, it was nice, it was comfortable, and it was better than Maluch or Cadillac. That's how we called Fiat 126p, Bambino. Then a estate version. Those were mostly for militia, that's how it was called then in Poland, police, or ambulance or fire brigade. Not so many in private hands. It was a nice car. It wasn't perfect again, but Eastern Bloc was a bloc which the closer to the end, the bigger crisis was, the poorer it was. Huge problems, nothing in shops, hyperinflation, until eventually it collapsed, luckily. But maybe it wasn't even close to anything in the West then, but it was still one of the best available. Oh, this is a modification of Polones A2 Plus. For me, that's the ugliest version of Polones because it's sedan and it shouldn't be. The rear lights, some people liked it. I didn't like it. It was something different, but because of the shape of car, I didn't like it. It was a time when there was more cars like that. Some people can remember Logan, which was extended that way as well and was ugly as hell. But in Poland, that's one of the last Polonaises which were made. There were usually re-engine. It wasn't powered by 1.5 engine, which evolved from 1.3 and 1.5 engines from Fiat 125. But it could be Rover engine, it could be French diesel, and there was plenty of engine choices then, and it wasn't made by FSO anymore. It could be DU. Yes, DU owned at some point Polish factory, and there was some DUs made in Poland. Then it evolved into Chevrolet because DU bankrupted, and that was end of Polish factory on Żerań in Warsaw. The other more modern version was Polonez Car Plus. It looks much more like regular old Polonez, so-called Borewicz. The rear was slightly different, and for me, the slides are different than the last one, and I like those a little bit more because they are not as huge. And then rear, there is small spoiler, but the silhouette is still like in hatchback. Modern front, different than in older Polonez. Again, there could be different engines in it. I was learning how to drive in car like this one. My instructor then was driving one of those. My father still had then the old one with 1.5 engine. The old one was something like this. This is with 1.5 engine, which was slightly more powerful than in Fiat because of some modification. It had 81 or 82 bhp, just few bhp more than a regular Fiat 125p with 1.5 liter engine. I like the Polonez. My first, I wouldn't even call it collision. Just when I got my driving license, first drive at night, it was my mother, my father, me as driver. We went for a spin, and when I was driving into our forecourt, I touched with wheel arc gate. It was just, there will be maybe scratches, but because there was huge problem with corrosion, we lost large part of that corroded part, which wasn't a huge issue because we replaced those. That was waiting to happen anyway. I just accelerated some panel works a little bit. My father replaced it, and that's so-called Borewicz. Borewicz because of Polish crime series. In West you had 007, Agent 007, James Bond. In Poland we have militia officer with surname Borewicz. That's why this Polonez was called like that, and he drove one of those. So that's legendary car. And the last version of Polonez we will see today, and the last car from that huge parcel from Stania Mustanga, is Polonez truck. which is pickup version of Polones. This is pickup version of Polones Caro or Atu with canopy. It was working horse of Polish businesses then. We were poor, but if your business was decent, you could afford one of those. It wasn't the best, but again, it was affordable and it was doing its job most of the time. So that's all for today's video. Finally, we finish it with some delay. For some of you who are my age and maybe remember when their country was still part of Eastern Bloc, or when they visited some countries like Czechoslovakia or Hungary. So maybe you recognize some of those cars. For most of you, it will be something very, very exotic. Those cars generally were worse than anything you had in the West. Quality issues, ergonomic issues, very fuel thirsty, and then quality was deteriorating, but it was better than nothing. Thank you for your attention. As usual, all the best for all of you and see you soon. Bye bye.